It is Wednesday, September 8th of 2021. And this is a much rested and relaxed Guy's Daily Drive. I am. And good morning and welcome to Guy's Daily Drive. My continuing efforts to find relevance and harmony on my way to work each morning while driving. Well, not since I don't do this each morning, I guess it's not every morning. I'm typically doing this just about once a week now. And that's okay. Usually just when I have something to say and not just because, I gotta do a show. I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. But anyway, it was quite a great weekend. We had a lot of fun. This was Labor Day weekend here in the U.S. Now, most places around the world, Labor Day is May 5th, as I recall. But no, we dare to be different here in the U.S., and our Labor Day is the first Monday in September. Because reasons. Yes. Anyway, I was itching to go somewhere and do something. And I was driving my wife crazy, so she basically was like, "Will you just arrange to take some time off and let's go someplace?" So didn't want to go any place too far. So we went up to the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, which is roughly 2.5 to 3 hours away from here. So could have done it in a day trip, I guess, but I didn't want to do that because it's just so stressful. You want to go and have a good time, and then you spend a total of 5 to 6 hours driving to get there and back, and that's not relaxing. It's not relaxing at all. So we arranged for this trip, and we were gone for 4 nights, and I did something I don't normally do. Now, we were going to go to a variety of places, but they were all within a half hour to an hour of each other. Hold on. And if that's usually what I'm doing when I look for a hotel, I will pick a hotel, and that's where we'll stay for the entire time that we're there. But I wanted to go someplace that was a little bit different. Let's face it, you go to these hotels, these chain hotels, and they're all the same. You've pretty much got the bed in the same place, the bathrooms in the same place, they all have the same amenities, they all have the same kind of TV that all shows the same kind of content. And it's so bland and predictable that it's like, okay, this is, it almost becomes part of the background instead of part of the experience. So I looked for something that was different, and usually where you find things that are different in various areas, you can't always find it, is if you go to like a bed and breakfast. Now, they're usually more expensive because they don't have the same number of rooms, and of course all the rooms are going to be completely different because it's usually out of a house or something along those lines. And so the first hotel we stayed at was just one of the bland, here you are. It was called Sure Stay. It was an off-brand of Best Western, but it was the closest hotel for the majority of the things that I originally had scheduled for the first couple of days. And now remember, Hurricane Ida just passed through that area and hit it pretty hard. So the rivers were really full, and we weren't exactly sure how things were going to work out, but we went anyway because, it was already paid for. And one of the first things we were going to do is go to Indian Echo Caverns. Well, we get there, and they're closed because the caverns are flooded. And, that's to be expected. But we ran into, more than once, a couple of things along this line where, we couldn't do the things that we had originally planned to do for various reasons. So we kind of hung out there, and just off property there was like a little adventure land park thing, and they had a putt-putt course, and both Tracy and I love putt-putt, so we played a game. Didn't go to see the natural beauty of these caverns, but by God, we played a game of putt-putt golf. And we just drove around a little bit after that, and then we get to the hotel and get up the next day. And one of the things that we wanted to do on that day, so this is now Saturday, we wanted to go to this thing called the Oregon Corn Maze, which is this huge maze built out of a big cornfield. It's like 14, 15 acres or something, and they had 16 stations set up with information on corn and mazes and cows and all kinds of things. And the pattern that they had built in for the maze was actually, to coin a phrase, amazing. They had a cow kind of cut out, words were cut out. I mean, it was just all this stuff was cut out of this field of corn, and you couldn't see anywhere once you were in the maze. So you had a map that was trying to guide you to some of the various things. And there were like 16 stations. We found 3 before we started to get hungry and tired. So that took a while. So we left the corn maze, fully planning on going back in. That was the original plan. And we got some food, something to drink, and then Tracy looked up and says, "Wow, you are sunburned. The top of your head is really sunburned." So instead of going back into the maze and making things even worse, remember, this is only the second day, and we had 2 more full days to go after this, so we didn't want to make it so that I'm laid up for a significant amount of time because I'm all sunburned. So we left the corn maze, and there's a place near there called Wiltons, Pennsylvania, and they have this. We've been there before, and they had this kind of cool pretzel factory that you could take a tour in. They showed you how they made pretzels, and all the rest of that was kind of fun, but we did that the last time. But as we were driving around, we came across this place called Wilbur's, and Wilbur's is a chocolatier, kind of like Hershey's, in the same area as Hershey, Pennsylvania is not that far. And there's apparently there's kind of a rivalry between these 2 chocolatiers, and some question over who actually invented the Wilbur calls them chocolate drops, Hershey's calls them kisses, but they're both basically about the same size and shape. The little cone with a little twist at the top of it. And depending on who you talk to and which chocolatier you're in front of, they claim they were the first. Well, we don't really know, and it doesn't matter. But we got a bunch of chocolate there. Some for Guy and some for Peter and Liza. And because yesterday, or the 7th, was Guy's birthday. So we wanted to have at least something for him, because, you know, the kids are older now, and for the most part, if there's something that they want, they get it themselves. But we did get them each some chocolate. And it was really, really tempting to break into their chocolate because it was really good, or looked really good. But we had our own chocolate to deal with. And as it turned out, we forgot to get like chocolate with peppermint. And Wilbur's, of course, had some. And of course, Hershey's has peppermint patties. So we ended up later going to Chocolate World over at Hershey Park to get some peppermint patties, and we got some other chocolate too, mostly that we'll give away for Halloween. That's coming up at the end of next month. Not like it's going to go bad. So the day after that, we checked out of the shore stay, put all the stuff into the car, and we drove to our new hotel, which was over in Leola, and it was the Inns at Leola. I've never stayed there before, and it was actually quite impressive. They have a bunch of different rooms and a bunch of different suites, but the room we were in was one of the coach rooms, which is your standard, typical for the Leola Inn. You know, nothing super grand, super special, but it was still so nice. Big, comfortable room, nice bathroom with great amenities. And Tracy was very impressed by the room. I guess, you know, she was tired of the typical generic hotel rooms that we usually stay in. So I got big brownie points for that. And then after we got there, don't do it. We dropped off our stuff. You know, we didn't check in. It was too early to check in, but we did drop off our stuff. We dropped off the chocolate so that it wouldn't melt in the car. And we dropped off all of our bags. And then we went to the Pennsylvania Ren Fair. And I love going to Ren Fairs. There's two main ones that we go to. There's the one in Maryland, which was the first one I'd ever gone to, in Crownsville, Maryland. And it's nice, it really is. And the only downside to the one in Maryland, and I guess this adds some level of authenticity to it, but none of the paths are paved, and they use porta potties, which is pretty much a big stinky mess. But the one in Pennsylvania has some paved paths and real bathrooms. And I am not so into having the, you know, authentic experience, whatever that means, at a preconceived event like the Ren Fair, that really bothered me that much. And that's where we were. So we go to the Pennsylvania Ren Fair. We have a great time, and the weather just was perfect. It was a little cool. It was like mid-70s, low humidity. It did sprinkle a little bit while we were there, but not that big of a deal. And it was just a lot of fun, as those kinds of things always are. Then Monday, what did we do on Monday? We went for lunch, the Strasburg Railroad, and we were going to have lunch in the dining car. And it was funny because of COVID, they cut off reservations the day before. You can't just walk up and get reservations onto the dining car. So we were the only ones in the dining car. We had the entire car to ourselves for lunch. Tracy had a nice salad, and I had a roast beef sandwich. And our attendant, Josh, his parents actually own a bakery just down the street from the Leola Inn that we ended up going to the next day. But we did a couple other things. We went to an Amish furniture place that sold some other stuff too, got some stuff there, and just spent the day very, very relaxed. It was our last day, so we didn't want to really